Hello and welcome back to The Mentors. This is Vadim
and Sergey,
and you're listening to our 5-minute, it's more of a 10-minute segment called the 5-Minute Pick-Me-Up, where we tell you stories to motivate you for the week to come.
It's really a bait and switch. We tell you 5 minutes, you listen, it's longer.
If it's good enough,
you love it.
Or hate it, and if it's good enough, you listen for the whole 10 minutes. This week, what is top of mind? Well, it's almost 2020. It is almost 2020. And a lot of us, for some reason, because time and the perception of time feels so tangible to us and so real, whenever the year ends, it always feels like there's a new chapter, a new beginning, an opportunity for change.
Well, it's also a time where we get to spend some time away from work, where we get to spend some time with family, a lot of time maybe thinking by ourselves and doing a lot of self-reflection for Vadim and I. This period of time is also always a time where we're getting older. It's our birthday within 2 weeks of New Year. So every year we do a ton of self-reflection around that time. And now we're at the turn of a decade. We're going to be in the 2020s in just about a week here.
Yeah, and it does feel, a little bit more real. Now, this year's a little bit different as well. I'm noticing that the holidays feel a little bit different. I don't know if it's because in the United States, Christmas falls on a Wednesday, and then New Year's falls on a Wednesday the week after. So literally most people that we talk to are taking 2 full weeks off. It's one of the first times I feel like literally everybody's shutting down and reflecting and taking a step away from their usual flow. For us, 2 years ago, we started this new podcast. So we always think about what's next, what's new for us. And that's why we've also been thinking about how we could be better, how we could continue to self-improve. I recently wrote an article on Forbes about that very topic that, as we talked about on this podcast, was kind of triggered or motivated by the book The Power of Now that has been pretty impactful for us since the fall when we started reading it. And I was hanging out with a friend of mine who happens to be a therapist, and he also is thinking about the new year, how to get better, how to improve his business, for example, his practice. And I asked him one simple question, because I'm also thinking about how can I be more productive? And I said, what do you think is a more effective way of becoming more consistently productive or more effective in your output? Then the whole conversation shifted to finding a balance. And that made me think of a few examples of time where I was able to make changes in my life. Obviously, diet and exercise is a big thing that a lot of people think about. Literally January 1 or 2, I guess, after you're done being hungover on January 2nd, the gyms get packed because people set out these New Year resolutions and get to the gym. And of course, after 1 or 2, or maybe for some people 3 months, maybe even some success, a lot of people go back to eating poorly and not working out, right? It's really easy to lose that habit because you go to this extreme, you try to create this massive change, and it ultimately creates so much discomfort for you where you inevitably go back to the comfort.
I think the problem with the way that many people approach making changes in their lives is it completely ignores what's natural and comfortable for them. And people are always going to gravitate towards what's comfortable. So there is a way to do this without fully ignoring it. And that's why we wanted to talk about why cheat days work and how you can actually apply it to other changes that you want to make outside of just, let's say, dietary or exercise types of changes.
Cheat days became really popular over the last decade. I think really popularized by Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Body, where he talks about how if you have enough discipline to eat really well, very healthy, removing carbs, for example, which help gain weight throughout the week, then you can find one day that week where you allow yourself to eat anything you want. And the key part of this is that you allow yourself to recede, essentially. You allow yourself to be bad and that it's okay.
And you allow yourself to have those moments of pleasure, let's say with good food, that your body is going to be seeking anyway, and that are the exact same thing that creates a risk of relapse for you if you just decide, no, you know what, I'm going to go cold and I'm not going to have any good food at all ever again. That's just impossible for most people to do.
And that actually these cheat days are also productive because guess what? Your body needs carbohydrates. Your body needs good fats. And so by having that one day where you essentially supercharge it with the things that you've been depriving it for that whole week, you come back, you level set, and actually you feel motivated again to continue on with a new habit that you were trying to build. And we've had friends, I literally have a really good friend that back in college, he decided to lose weight and he implemented this cheat day himself. It was about 7 years ago. And for 7 years, he's been consistent. The guy has abs, let me tell you. I'm hella jelly. But it's something that he's been able to stay consistent with because he picks a day, Sunday, which is a day of rest for him, a day where nothing happens, and a day that he can stuff his face with bagels and cream cheese and cupcakes and dessert and whatever he wants, ice cream. And by the end of that day, he's actually sick of the good stuff, and he goes back to the eating well and exercising, which actually feels good as well. Similar to being more productive. When you actually force yourself to do the things that you've been putting off. When you actually sit down and start checking off things on your to-do list, it does feel good. It's not easy to stay focused. It's not easy to be consistent with it, but it does feel good. But if you don't allow yourself to find some balance in that new routine you're trying to create, if you don't allow yourself to slip once in a while and understand that it's only in your nature to find things that are more comfortable, to find things that are pleasurable, that your brain actually wants, if you don't allow yourself that, then inevitably you will relapse into the poor behavior or the behavior that you were trying to change in the first place.
So when you're thinking about your New Year's resolutions or the things that you want to get better at this year, think about how you can find the balance in anything that you're trying to pursue. If you're trying to go to bed earlier, don't start by trying to go to bed at 10 p.m. if you normally go to bed at 2 a.m., but go maybe an hour or an hour and a half earlier. And maybe on the weekends you stay up a little late and go a little crazy with your friends because that's what you love to do. And over time, it'll get easier and easier to set that clock earlier and earlier again because you did it in a way that's balanced and in a way that gave yourself the permission to enjoy staying up a little late once in a while and something that you can look forward to during the week.
And for me personally, and especially because of that article that I wrote, I've been thinking about this more. Discipline has been something that's been top of mind for me. As longtime listeners of our show know, our father is a really motivational figure for us in our life, always has been. And one of the things that I always kind of envied about him, aside from the fact that I think he was a bit of a workaholic and probably something that I don't want to borrow from him as I think it was unhealthy, but he had a lot of discipline. He was up early every morning. He was working and being productive very, very consistently. And I always thought, wow, I wish I could have that level of discipline. And sometimes my brain would even go in the direction where I would think, maybe I should join the army or go into some kind of Navy SEALs program or Marine program where...
Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Well, but the idea there was like, oh, here are some men and women that are building true discipline in their lives. If I could just go through that for a 4 or 6 month process, maybe I would then become disciplined. And then I realized that actually is a potential recipe for disaster. And what's better to strive towards is to create more discipline in my life, if that's what I'm looking for, but then also allow myself to still have, let's say, the social interactions that I need, which I also crave, that help me feel fulfilled, because that is actually true balance. And I'm also much more likely to stick with moments of discipline, like productivity, waking up earlier, let's say, getting to work earlier, if I see it more, not as an absolute, work towards a different type of you, but as a work towards a more balanced you. We find that real life changes happen not in a big moment of realization or an epiphany that then follows a change, but in the day-to-day work and in the day-to-day decisions to be better. So in the new year, instead of focusing on making big changes, focus on making better decisions in the day-to-day and allow yourself to get rewards once in a while for the hard work that you are doing to get better.
That's it for the 5-minute pick-me-up for this week. As you know, we're going to be traveling the next couple of weeks. We're giving ourselves a little bit of an end-of-the-year reward and traveling with one of our best friends who we haven't traveled with in a long time to Spain, and we're going to reflect there as well. We're going to try and record an episode and release it to you as well, but we will also have some rebroadcasts over the holidays that we hope you enjoy. And until we see you in the new year, happy holidays, happy new year, and we're excited for what's to come in 2020 for us and for you.
Have an awesome week ahead.